Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Melissa Berry, and I lead our customer empowerment team as part of the Viva People Science R&D team. Today, we'll be kicking off our first People Science AI Empowerment webinar. This is a series, and our goal through these sessions are to help you feel excited and ready for AI in your organization. We'll be talking about all things AI in Viva, the impact of AI on employees, teams, and organizations, AI readiness, and much more. We hope you leave these sessions with tips and tricks that you can apply in your organization right away. We have a few events planned for the next few months, and you can find all of this on the Viva community if you click into the events section. Joining me today live on YouTube, I'm thrilled to be with my colleagues, Carolyn, Gogi, and Hao. And before we jump into the content for today, I thought it would be fun to learn a little bit more about how we are all using AI in our personal lives as well as our professional lives. So I'll kick off. Again, my name is Melissa, and for me, I've been using AI in lots of different ways, but the two most interesting, personally, I've been planning a trip, and Copilot did a lot of the legwork for me. I had asked it to give me a table of 5 locations within a 4-hour flight distance from New York City, where I live. I asked for 2 hotel options for each, and then not to give me any locations where it was hurricane season. And I got this snazzy little table, and boom, I booked a trip to the Cayman Islands for April. And it was just so easy, such it was a lot of fun, and made the whole process a bit easier to book my trip. And professionally, I personally just love the Copilot in Teams summarization feature. If you're running a few minutes late to a meeting, you can ask Copilot to summarize what has happened so far, so you can just quickly jump into that conversation without needing everyone to repeat what had already happened. So personally and professionally, it's been just a wonderful, wonderful time savings and a lot of fun to experiment with. And with that, I'll pass over to you, Carolyn.
Yeah, oh my gosh, such good AI examples. I love it. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Kalafut. I'm a principal people scientist here. I work on the R&D team, and as of late, I've been working really closely with Hao, who's on with us, as well as other product partners to build out some of our capabilities in the AI space. So really excited to share some of that with you today. Such a good question, Melissa, in terms of how we're using AI. The first thing that came to mind for me was a very professional example, but I love the transcripts and the summarization for meetings. I think part of this is, I do a lot of interviews, so being able to go back to those transcripts and have verbatims is so valuable and just really hard to capture, when you're doing it by hand. And also, I'm a chronic multitasker, so it's really nice to be able to see what I might have missed when I was doing other things. And I haven't done this in terms of a personal use case, but I did just see a video of how you can use AI to do a color analysis. So to tell if you're like a spring, winter, summer, etc., which I've never been able to nail. Not sure if I even believe in it, but that's probably going to be my next, Copilot journey, is see if it can tell me what my colors are.
Oh, now you got me thinking, Carolyn, about my turban color choice and how I can use AI to pick the right turban for the right season. So thank you for passing it over to me. My name is Gogi Anand. I'm part of the Copilot growth team. I used to work closely with Carolyn, and now I'm part of a new team called Copilot Growth, where I'm the business value manager. And the goal is to help companies realize value from their investments and deployment of AI tools. So excited to be here with you all. I'm really enjoying using AI in my personal life right now. I use it with my niece and nephew to create stories for bedtime, and they love it because they give me input on different characters. I'm actually moving from New Jersey to Maryland in the summer, so I'm asking Copilot all sorts of questions around how is my cost of living going to change? What daycares would you recommend for my 17-month-old? And all these questions come up with really great answers. So it's been helpful starting point to do some of that research. And at work, I use it all the time with my customers to understand what are their pain points, what are their challenges. I like using M365 chat because I can toggle between the web and work. So I can do some external research and I can do internal research. If anyone's worked with a customer that I'm working on, I can understand what they've talked about if I have access to that information. So it really prepares me well for conversations with my customers, and it just increases my learning. I feel like I'm more valuable to people because I can bring them insights and information that maybe isn't readily available to everyone.
Wow, thank you, Gogi, for sharing your personal AI story. That has inspired me to try Copilot to come up with new stories for our 16-year-old, because I'm definitely getting tired of reading the same bedtime stories over and over again. So that's a good tip. My name's Hao. I'm on the product management team from Viva Glint. I'm the product owner for Copilot in Viva Glint. Really excited to talk to you about Copilot in Viva Glint today. So personally, it's tax season in the States, so I've been asking Copilot on ways that we can save on taxes with our little ones and with our backyard construction projects. And luckily, Copilot gives references, so I can double check just to read the actual tax documentations. Really helpful. Professionally, I'm a product manager, so I'm in a lot of meetings. I'm in a lot of Teams chat. I do a lot of writing, so Copilot in Teams and Microsoft Word have been lifesavers for me. I can't attend meetings at all, and Copilot can summarize what I've missed, what decisions I've made, and most importantly, what action items people are doing. So that's really helpful. In terms of writing, I'm not a great writer, so Copilot in Word has been a lifesaver, has been a godsend. So I just brain dump a bunch of random words, phrases, and ask Copilot to rewrite it for me. I can change the tone to be really professional. And it's way better than I can ever have written after 10 hours of editing. So it's really helpful for me to just take that, put my own little flair on it, and then be done with it. It's been great. Saved me a lot of time.
Awesome. Thanks, Hal. I love hearing everyone's examples. Personally and professionally, I'm always inspired to try something when we kind of do a little round robin with all of these. So thank you all. And with that, let's shift over to our content. We're going to first share with Carolyn and Gogi. They're going to talk a little bit about ways to ready your organization for AI, and then we'll hear directly from Hao about Copilot in Viva Glint. Awesome. Over to you.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm going to be kicking off with just some tips that we have for how to nail your AI rollout. And the first one that we have is, getting your data in order. So as we think about bringing AI into your organization, and really probably more specific AI that is tapping into and actually leveraging data and information from your organization, it's really critical that what it's tapping into is accurate. And when we think about, what it means to get your data in order, this is really encompassing both accuracy audits, so making sure that everything that it's tapping into, is the latest and greatest of the versions, is, having accurate information, but it's also about security checks. So, making sure that those individuals who have access should have access. And, really when we're thinking about all of this information that AI can be using, it really just means that we're going to have to be careful around, what it's surfacing to make sure, one, that there isn't any sort of breach of confidentiality, but also that the user gets the best experience because they're actually able to find what they need and what is going to be most useful to their work.
That sounds really overwhelming, Carolyn. Where would you recommend people to start?
Yeah, such a good question, Gogi. This can absolutely be a really huge project. I do not want to downplay the effort that this takes, But in terms of a starting point, I always advise that you start with your objectives. So if you are bringing in AI, really getting crisp and clear about like where you are bringing it in, what you're hoping that it can do, what the objectives are. And this is going to help to guide like what areas you need to focus on most. And so once you get those objectives laid out, the next thing that I would suggest is figuring out what data sources align with those objectives. And hopefully that's going to help to, one, kind of, narrow the focus so you don't have to do everything. You can at least prioritize. And it will also hopefully help you to identify those internal folks who are maybe already owners of those data sources, and you can leverage them in helping with the audit. So yes, definitely not a one-person job at all, but something that I think is still really critical as a baseline before you kick off.
Great, next slide. So I think this builds nicely on what Carolyn just talked about, where we want to make sure we're intentional about the rollout of any AI tool, not just Viva Glint or Copilot or Copilot in Viva Glint. But when you're thinking about the rollout, I like to think of it in a few different categories. So the first one, Carolyn touched on briefly, where think about prioritizing who gets these tools first and why. What's the impact that it's going to have on their roles and the organization? And how can you align the tools that you're rolling out to the business needs? So where can you have the greatest impact on your investment? The second piece is around championing advocates. So if you have kind of identified power users in the organization, people who are really energized or excited about leveraging new technologies or experimenting with new technologies, I would say tap into these individuals and bring them on board early and often. These individuals will be critical in terms of inspiring others to try AI and to leverage it in their day-to-day work. And the other thing I'll say is, engage your leadership. See if leaders want to get involved, because that'll really help get the flywheel going on this. The next thing I'll say is around ongoing upskilling, reskilling, and in a future topic, I'm going to talk about pre-skilling when we talk about prioritized skilling. What I mean by this is really creating an environment for people to be able to share their learnings early, often in different spaces, and making it so people feel comfortable sharing these learnings. Asking questions regularly, challenging your people to think about how they use AI and leverage some of these best practices in their daily work. One simple thing that you could do as a leader or a manager is to just ask your teams, think about tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis, and is there a way to leverage AI to do it better, faster, produce better quality out of it? And that'll get people thinking about how to integrate this into their daily lives. And then the last thing I'll say is, building work habits, this requires a little bit of change. So we'll need some new work habits for people to be able to, adapt AI effectively. So encouraging teams to think about what can you do differently, and sharing what they're doing differently, kind of like how we started this call. I didn't know that Melissa was using this to research her trip and things like that. So it's perfect way to really amplify and upskill the entire organization when you share with each other.
I love that so much of what you talked about, and the intentionality is also going to be talked about with some of these other points. So, we'll dive a little bit deeper. I am curious though, Gogi, what else would you say in terms of also how we're measuring the success of AI transformation?
Great question. I think for me, I like to keep things really simple. I know there's an easy way to boil the ocean and think about all the different metrics you can collect, because there is a lot of data behind when people are using AI and what that looks like. But I think to keep it simple, I would break it down into 3 steps. The first step is really thinking about the adoption. Are people using it? What does the usage look like? Where are people using it? In what countries, in what roles, and what departments? So you get a flavor for, is this even being used in the organization? The second layer to that is, once it's being used, what's the experience that people are having? Are they finding it easy to use? Are they finding that they need more support in specific areas. Where do they need support and how can you provide it? And then the third level or layer of metrics that I would look at is this adding value to my business and to my organization? Can I really step back and look at some metrics and say, oh, wow, we closed a deal in 3 weeks, whereas previously it used to take 3 months, or any sort of business metrics that are important to you in terms of maybe serving a customer or getting a product to market. Are any of those things changing as a result of your people using AI in their daily work?
Yeah, love it. Great. So the third one that we have for you is the identifying of champions that can help lead the way. And, we know that internal advocates and influencers are really key to adoption success. If you look at the research that is out there, between 70% and 95% of large-scale tech transformation implementations actually fail. And often where this is failing is that it just didn't necessarily take hold at the cultural level. It wasn't integrated into the day-to-day work in a meaningful way. And I really think that change champions are a fantastic way to reinforce that change beyond just the leadership level. And they also help to create this natural kind of feedback loop in terms of getting information and understanding about what's going well and what's going not so well.
That's interesting. This week, actually, a customer just said to me, if you could help prepare the culture for AI transformation, the rest will just take care of itself. While there's some truth to that, I do like the idea of change champions. Can you talk more about how change champions can be plugged into the change process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always think that change champions are really important, especially in kind of that beginning of the change process. So thinking about how they can be tapped into building awareness, desire, and knowledge. And, some of the things that I've seen, if we're talking about change champions helping to build that awareness, I've seen that, change champions have actually been leveraged as, part of that, speaker to talk about like what is happening and why it's happening. They've also been leveraged as more of kind of a grassroots communication process. So going to teams and reinforcing the leadership messages. In terms of like the desire. So how do you, use change champions to build that desire? It can be really helpful to talk about, what they've already done with AI, especially if they are early adopters. So what's been working for them? How can other people use it to their own advantage? And they can also be helping with, how leadership is understanding the desire of the organization by providing that feedback of what they're hearing. So, as they're hearing concerns, as they're hearing about, a desire that maybe isn't already covered with what you're doing in the AI space, this is a great way to pivot and make sure that you're landing well with that group. And then in terms of knowledge, oh my gosh, change champions are just wonderful at, doing things like demo workshops, ask me anything sessions, even maybe posting tips and tricks on any sort of internal communication channels. So really leveraging them in a lot of creative ways, I think will help to build that excitement.
Absolutely. And I think change champions kind of embody our next point, which is around prioritized skilling. These are individuals who are taking ownership and accountability for wanting to learn and adapt something new so they can be better and they can encourage others to be better. And as a result, the collective gets stronger. So on the fourth point around prioritized skilling, what I would say is this is kind of like learning how to drive. When you first start off driving, you're not just driving the car by yourself unless you're a rebel and just take the car and go. But most times you're getting a driving instructor or taking some lessons and then getting a driver's license and then officially driving on your own. And so there's some steps along the way that you would do. I think AI is very similar. The thing with some of these AI tools is they present themselves as being really simple. So when you look at a Google search or a Bing search or Copilot, for example, when you go into it, it's just a search bar and with a few options to make this professional language, creative language. And so there's not a whole lot there. So on the surface, it seems like I can just launch to my organization, and it'll stick because it's really easy to use. But in fact, this actually requires a lot of skilling, a lot of preparation, getting people ready by giving them some resources and learnings around how to create an effective prompt, how to experiment. I actually started recently asking Copilot how to make my prompt better. So you can actually use Copilot to train yourself essentially on how to do things better. So I think there's lots of capabilities and limitations of these AI tools. And what's important is skilling these individuals up to a new level, or pre-skilling them and getting them ready to be adopting these tools is really important, because it allows them to then fine-tune these models, these algorithms, and integrate AI seamlessly into their existing workflows, and ultimately maximizing its impact.
I really love that term, Gogi, pre-skilling. That seems so great, especially during times of change. Can you talk a little bit more about, skilling and pre-skilling during change?
It's a great question, because I feel like a lot of organizations are going through change right now, partly due to kind of external disruptions, and partly due to just internal changes to get ready for this AI transformation that's coming at us. I think with any transformation, it's really critical to highlight WIFM. This is something WIIFM. It stands for what's in it for me. So really highlighting, what do people get out of this? What kind of learning and growth? How does it improve their role? And this is really what's going to make it sticky. And from a customer experience lens, oftentimes we say, people need to have 4 good experiences with a product before they have 1 bad experience for them to continue to come back. So finding ways to make it easy for people to adopt technologies will really go a long way in making it sticky in your organization.
I love that. And with the stickiness, I think that goes to our last point around, helping people build new habits. That's really what this long-standing change is all about. And I think that when we think about new habits, we're really talking about both, when we're using AI, so how we're thinking about it being integrated into our day-to-day workflows, but also like how we're using AI. This is almost kind of like a mindset shift. And I think that this is a shift that we'll continue to do, as we continue to move forward in this transformation, and even our own adoption of leveraging AI. Because I know even in my usage right now, it sometimes comes as an afterthought, or sometimes I miss a chance to use AI and I go, oh my gosh, I wish I had leveraged it. So thinking about, how we start thinking about those moments where an AI first mentality is really important is going to help to also build that habit moving forward.
Well, we know as IO psychology practitioners that habit building isn't as easy as it sounds. So what do you think organizations can do to help facilitate this?
Yeah, absolutely. Habits are hard. Anybody who's tried to build a new habit knows that kind of intuitively. But I do think there's a few things that organizations can do specifically. One is creating the space and time to actually build the new habit. So knowing that you need to give time to your employees to actually, try the new technology out, make sure that they're having the space to figure out what works for them. I also think that, thinking about where there is low-hanging fruit in your organization, where AI can already easily plug into established workflows is another great way to make it easier to pick up as a habit. And then I also think, tailoring your examples to the unique groups who are going to be using the AI is also really important. Different roles, different levels, different tenures within an organization may be getting different value from different AI capabilities. So thinking about how you highlight that piece that, to your point, Gogi, is going to be really underscoring the what's in it for them is really key. And then we also know, like in the literature, you need to have both the motivation and the ability to shift a new behavior. So, thinking about like, what is that value prop that we're providing as the motivation? And then how are we making sure that that skilling or pre-skilling is also there so that they have the ability? Oh, and Gogi, I think you're on mute, but I think you're moving to the next slide.
I was off to a really hot start. So what I was saying is that Wrapping this all together, there's a couple of things that I would say to leave you with. One is prepare for any organizational shift, especially this AI transformation, by getting your organization ready in different lenses, I would say. So first is your talent. Do they have the right tools, skills, resources needed, and the support needed? And the second is culture. Have we established a collective mindset that we are going to leverage this to advance the business? The second thing I think organizations can do to prepare for this shift is having leaders champion this mindset of learn it all. Our CEO, Satya, loves to say, we want a learn it all culture, not a know it all culture. And with that comes an idea that you're empowered and enabled to experiment, fail fast, and learn even faster to then get to value out of these tools. And so speaking of value, I'll turn it over to Carolyn to wrap us up.
I'll go ahead and just highlight, you may have seen down at the bottom of that previous slide that we did have a link out to our work lab link right here in this next slide. I just have a few amazing resources that are highlighted there. If you click on the next, I've highlighted another one that is specific to what we talked about today. It's actually a checklist, so you can start going through all of these different steps and thinking about, how you leverage them in your own AI rollout. And then, of course, please continue to join all of the great events that are going to be happening around this topic. We're excited to continue to share resources. And with that, I would love to shift gears and actually talk a little bit more about how AI is showing up within Viva Glint. I'm going to do just a few quick slides if you want to go to the next one before I hand it off to Hao, who is our resident expert. But, before we jump in specifically to the AI portion and experience within Viva Glint, I just want to talk quickly about, who Viva Glint is, what Viva Glint is for those who might not be familiar. So Viva Glint is a voice of the employee survey solution that is providing leaders, managers, and admins with employee feedback. This is done via topical surveys, so thinking about, engagement, DEI, change, etc., but also employee life cycle surveys like onboarding and exit. And what's really fantastic about our offering is we have this fantastic dashboard that shows all of these insights together, easily accessible by a variety of different stakeholders within your organization. And they're also partnered with recommended actions, so really helping you to close that loop from feedback to action so that you can see impact. And this is really done by driving a feedback culture. And if you go to that next slide, we really believe that a feedback culture is thriving on the ability to understand, analyze, act, and then to create real business impact and meaningful change. And so, when we think about all of these pieces, we for Viva Glint are enabling you to design the right org-wide engagement survey programs. So, having those scientifically backed templates and the most curated best practices coming from People Science. You're also then able to analyze and get immediate visibility into the employee experience, measuring sentiment in a real-time way, and leveraging advanced analytics that are built into the platform. And then from here, you're able to route that feedback to the right leaders and stakeholders, partnered with actionable insights that are going to help you to create that culture of your employees feeling heard and supported, and really thinking about how this is then helping to drive that impact that employees are hoping to see based on their feedback. So just a little high level of the offering for Glint, but I know the piece that people are probably most excited about is how Copilot is showing up in Viva Glint. So for that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Hao.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, Copilot in Viva Glint. So we've designed Copilot with the organizational leader in mind. No matter what survey tools you're using to collect employee engagement feedback, as an org leader managing hundreds or even thousands of employees, it could be a pretty daunting task once the results come in and you're faced with this dashboard to analyze the results, to try to figure out where should I focus, where should I pay attention to, what action should I take, what are the highlights and the the hotspots in my organization. So even though within Viva Glint, our dashboards do a pretty decent job of highlighting strengths and opportunities, recommending actions, giving you common analytics around topics, keywords, and sentiments on how people are saying, there's still a lot of information to digest. So with Copilot, the goal is for Copilot to be able to analyze, interpret all of these results, and then give org leaders the opportunity to have a conversation with Copilot. So then Copilot can summarize what is the most important things for org leaders to focus on in the most natural languages. In addition to that, provide people science curated guidances and provide recommended actions and best practices for talking about these results and sharing these results and acting on these engagement results. So that's the goal of Copilot. We have launched the first version of Copilot, and I think the best way to showcase the capabilities of the existing Copilot is to play a demo video.
Hello everyone, my name is Hao. I'm the product manager for Copilot in Viva Glint. Today I'm excited to show you our Copilot version 1, which focuses on survey comment summarization. In our research, comment summarization was identified as the top user problem Copilot can solve. In future Copilot versions, we will incorporate quantitative score analysis and connecting with other Viva Copilots, such as Insights and Engage. For this demo, I'll be using our demo tenant so no customer data is shown. As an org leader, when I receive my Glint survey results, I get a nice overview of my employees' experience. I can see the top strengths and opportunities at the overall level. I see that career is one of our top opportunities, but I really want to understand the nuanced employee sentiments behind this issue, which I know are captured in the employee comments. However, I see that there are thousands of comments for this question, which will be daunting for me to read through. Luckily, Copilot can help me summarize these comments, saving me a lot of time. I see that Copilot gives me some suggestions to start with, but I want to focus on the career question. So I ask Copilot, what are the top issues mentioned in the employee comments for the career question? Copilot understood that I wanted to focus on the career question comments. It summarized the top 150 most relevant comments based on my question. I see that the lack of clear career path is the #1 issue, but I want to know what should be done to address this problem from the employee's perspective. So I ask Copilot, what are the top employee recommendations from the career question comments to address the lack of their career path? Copilot understood that I wanted to focus on the employee suggestions, in other words, prescriptive comments from the career question. It summarized the top employee recommendations, such as define and communicate clear career progression path, invest in professional development opportunities, implementing a structured career planning process, and so on. I want to dig deeper into the specific employee suggestions. So I opened the comments flyout to read through the verbatim comments that Copilot used to make this summary. Now that I have some concrete action items I can consider to address the career problem, I want to see what's going well on my teams. I scroll down to my team score sections on the bottom of my dashboard. I see that Penny Packer's team scored the highest on engagement. And I wonder why that's the case. So I asked Copilot, why is Penny Packer's team scoring high on engagement? Copilot summarized the positive highlights from that team's comments, such as celebrating quick wins and recognizing achievements. fostering a culture of support, trust, and camaraderie. I'll make sure to recognize these bright spots in my next one-on-one with Pennypacker. When it comes to employee engagement survey data, privacy is always the top priority. Copilot protects employee privacy by using the same aggregation threshold from the dashboard. So when I ask Copilot to focus on a group that is too small, it will respond accordingly. For example, I ask Copilot, what are product designers in Vancouver saying? Copilot understood the team I wanted to focus on, but because the respondent count fell below the threshold, it tells me that it cannot give me a summary. This concludes the demo for Copilot in Viva Glint. Thank you.
All right. Hopefully you had a good sense of what Copilot and Viva Glint can offer today. And I'll go into some of the details again in the next few slides. Before I do that, I just want to quickly mention Copilot in Viva Glint is in private preview. It's been in private preview since January of this year. What is private preview? Private preview is a chance for a small group of customers to get their hands on this capability early on, and also participate in a program to give us really detailed feedback for the product group. And this is an opportunity for the customers to co-develop the feature roadmap with the product group and really get your thoughts in early, kick the tires around and tell us what you think, and really going to help the product team to develop future capabilities for Copilot. And also, just to summarize, what is the existing capabilities for Copilot Viva Glint? We focus on comment summarization, summarizing the survey comments that any managers or org leaders would receive in their Glint results. And Copilot can summarize the comments by the questions, by any of the people attributes that you give the manager access to, and also it can summarize any employee recommendations in the comments. And to manage Copilot access, the admin users will have the ability to grant access to Copilot by any of these existing user roles in Viva Glint. And if you're a Viva Glint customer and you're interested in joining the private preview customer program, please reach out to your CXPMs to explore the next steps. And I just want to emphasize that Copilot is only available on Viva Glint. So if you're currently a LinkedIn Glint customer, we're looking forward to have you transition over to Viva Glint so you can use Copilot. So on the next few slides, I'm going to just quickly recap some of these capabilities. Copilot will have prompt guides to help the org leaders get started on what kind of questions I can ask Copilot. It can understand topic and certain themes from the survey results. It can generate these intelligent prompts based on your top strengths and opportunities, and also understand maybe you want to focus on this question because it received the most comments with positive or negative sentiments. Another capability that Copilot has is the ability to understand the different filters the user has, which is on the next slide, Melissa, if you don't mind. So using natural language, you can use Copilot, what are people saying on the marketing team in South America? So Copilot can understand those filters and zoom in on the most relevant set of comments to summarize. And in terms of viewing the results, when Copilot gives you the summaries, you also have the ability to trust but verify, to look at all of the verbatim comments behind the Copilot summaries to really understand how Copilot came up with the summaries. And also, if you really want to dig into the exact phrases, exact words, and exact examples that employees has mentioned in their comments, you have the ability to look at the comments that Copilot used to generate the summaries. When it comes to privacy, when it comes to employee engagement survey results, privacy is always a top priority for us. So Copilot uses the same aggregation thresholds that the Glint dashboard, the reports use. So if I ask Copilot to summarize the comments from a very small group, such as product designers in Vancouver, and Copilot will understand that that group falls below the confidentiality threshold, and they won't be able to generate a summary for you. At the same time, if you ask Copilot a question that has nothing to do with engagement survey results, and Copilot will understand that and will not go beyond what it has access to. When it comes to admin controls, I mentioned this earlier, a Copilot is defaulted off for all users in the organization. So the Glint admins will need to go into each survey program and explicitly enable Copilot for the selected user roles to be able to use this. Now, moving forward, I do want to announce 2 feature enhancements that we're going to release in May. I'm really excited about these 2 features. The first one is about injecting or embedding the Copilot summaries in the existing comments flyout capabilities on the Glint dashboard. So as of today, there are multiple natural entry points to look at the survey comments from your dashboard. For example, if I'm reviewing the survey results from my teams, I can see the number of comments left on those teams. Or if I'm reviewing my strengths and opportunities, I can see the number of comments left on those questions. And by clicking on those comment counts, I can see the comments, all of the comments behind those questions. But with this new enhancement, you have the ability to ask Copilot to quickly summarize all those comments. So this way, it really streamlines the experience of using Copilot. You don't have to come up with those questions or prompts to ask Copilot. Copilot will understand what you want to summarize just within context as you're reviewing your results from the dashboard and reports. The next enhancement that we're also releasing in May is, again, an improvement to bring the Copilot experience and the dashboard experience a lot closer and a lot seamlessly. So if you are reviewing your reports and you've applied a different filters, or you've drilled down to a different specific topic or specific teams as you're looking at the results, Copilot will understand that you have applied these filters on your report. So if you want to ask Copilot a question, it would assume that the context around the question is the data that you're looking at on the report. So you don't have to repeat those filters. You can simply ask, what are people saying? And Copilot will understand, oh, you're looking at product marketing in South America on your report. So that's what you want to focus on. So I'm just going to go ahead and summarize the comments from that specific employee group. Beyond May, we are also looking at the future Copilot roadmap. And I'll just quickly talk about some of these future capabilities. A lot of these are still under exploration, and we're really excited to start working with more and more customers who are using Copilot to collect actual use cases to understand what would really resonate with each and every one of you for Copilot to provide value to org leaders, to HR users, and to your companies. So as I mentioned, this version 1, we're focusing on summarizing comments. This is in private preview. With this comment summarization, you can ask what people are saying in their results. Now, version 2, the next version that we're going to start developing is around summarizing all of your results. So this will incorporate all of the quantitative scores from the engagement survey results, combining with the scores and the comments, and then you can really ask questions about which team are really struggling with career advancement. And Copilot will understand which team is scoring low on the career questions, and they will supplement what people are saying from the comments. This will provide a more holistic view into the employee experience. Also, Copilot can leverage some of these quantitative analysis to really zoom in on those specific areas, trouble spots or hot spots or bright spots for you to focus on. Beyond V2, these are some of the considerations for the Copilot roadmap. First is about integrating more signals from about the employee experience. So if you have Viva Insights in your suite of Viva apps, we can look at the workplace patterns, how people collaborate, how people work together, and try to understand whether how people work really impact their sentiments. So Copilot will be able to understand when people are having a lot of meeting times, is that really impacting their sentiment and engagement? The second area that we want to explore for a future roadmap is the ability to recommend actions, whether that's Glint focused people science curated resources and suggested actions, or whether that's leveraging other Viva apps to take some of these actions, such as leveraging Viva Engage to share the results and talk about what actions the leaderships are considering. These are the capabilities that we're exploring just to take a step further to have Copilot recommend these next steps and action items for the org leaders. Last but not least, post-survey conversations. This is where we can see Copilot shine as well to help draft communications about acknowledging what people are saying in the results and sharing best practices about communicating that broadly back to the employees. And also, this is really future forward thinking, generating reports and presentations based on the results, because we've seen Copilot have this capability. So really, we're leaning further and further away from starting with the graphs and the charts, but really just jump into the insights and have a conversation with Copilot. And if you do want to have visualizations as part of your post-survey conversation, Copilot can help with that. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Melissa. We have a little quick survey just to wrap up to hear what you think about this presentation.
Wonderful. Hao, thank you so much. And Carolyn Gogi, thank you also for sharing your insights with us today. And thank you all for joining us. For those of you who may have had an issue seeing the demo, we'll share it again later with this recording, so you'll be able to have access to it. As you see on the screen here, we have this lovely QR code. If you wouldn't mind taking just a minute, we would love your feedback. This will help us to inform our future roadmap. We love hearing directly from you. So please just take a minute and share with us your thoughts. If you're a Microsoft customer and you're interested in learning more about how you can start to use Glint or Copilot in Glint, please contact your account director. We will be more than happy to set you up. And on behalf of the Microsoft Viva team, we hope you enjoyed and learned a lot about how you can think about AI as it's coming to your organization. And we hope you're feeling excited about the potential of what Copilot in Viva Glint and Copilot overall can do for your business. And we'll see you in April for our next webinar, which will be featuring our Microsoft research and applied sciences colleagues. And this will be the AI, a game changer for the employee experience. So we hope to see you there. You can learn more about this on the Viva community. Thanks so much, and we hope you have a great week.